Another Dooley Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, welcome into another Dooley Noted Podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Shack-Ow and Mercandone Studios. We're so happy that you joined us. It's funny, I was watching the intro today, and somebody had asked me in Jacksonville, Kathy Curtis, who I've known for a long time, she asked me at the quarterback or Gator Club there what my favorite lead was, and I just realized it. I had no answer for that, and I just realized that might have been it. The one that they showed where it said "History wore orange and blue" today or tonight, because Florida had won in football and basketball, which nobody had ever done the same calendar year, or not same academic. No, wait, calendar year. Yeah. It'd be nice to get some things right today. We'll try to do that. We have got a great show for you. A lot of stuff to cover. And certainly, I'm so excited about our interview today with Lomas Brown. One of the great Gators ever, in my opinion. Should be in the Ring of Honor. I'm pushing to get that done every chance I get. I know it's great that Scott Strickland has basically come out and said, look, we need to review how we're doing this. Doesn't mean they'll change it, but I'll be pushing for them to change it. And guys like that should be in. Here's, and I'll tell Lomas this. My projection would be this. Okay, you're going to get Urban in either this year or next year. Maybe not this year because you kind of brought him in as a litmus test for the first game there and went, is anybody booing? There's 9 people booing. We're okay. And now you can bring him back and put him in and not feel like it's going to be embarrassing to the University of Florida, which is what they wanted to avoid. And again, you have Spurrier down on the field with him, and that again, you had I got to quit saying again. I keep saying again. You had 3 national championships and 8 conference championships on the field there, and that's a cool thing. And Gator fans should embrace it. And I think everybody's ready to forgive Urban for all the stuff, and some of them were Jag fans, and some of them were just happy he gave Tebow a chance, and it's kind of all over there. But the trouble is nothing lines up for Florida and Urban Meyer this year. They still could find a way to do it, but I don't know if they will. So more than likely would be next year, like maybe the week before the NFL opening game. So, but then after that, there's nobody qualified to get in. The only way Lomas Brown qualifies is if he gets into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which he's not been able to get in mainly because of where he played, for who he played for Detroit. They didn't win a lot of championships. They didn't win Super Bowls. If you're the same player and had the same career on the Pittsburgh Steelers, you're in the NFL Hall of Fame. There's no doubt about it. And then you get into the Florida Hall of Fame, which is, again, a real stick up my butt that bothers me. But what I would do is, personally, I would just go say, look, every 5 years, you guys get to revisit it, and we'd like you to put somebody in every 5 years. Okay? That means that 20 years from now, there would be 4 more names up there. Well, technically 5. It ain't going to overcrowd it. 20 years from now, we'll be okay. Okay? I know that there's a fear that, we got all these, different people up there, and there's so much up there, it's almost too much, but it's my plan, and I think it's a good one. All right, I'm sure you guys stayed up and watched Bucs-Cowboys last night. What a game that was. 2 quarterbacks just throwing lasers. There were mistakes made on both sides, and I just thought it was a great football game, and it felt like, I think I talked about this on Monday, that the NFL being back means we're truly back, and having a full crowd there means we're truly back. Now, we still have a pandemic. I'm not going to ever say that we don't until we don't, okay? But we're back. It's still a nervous place to be for a lot of things. So, but anyway, that was a great game. They got their rating was like a 59 for that game. Not a 59, a 15-9. 59 is what MASH got in their finale, which is the highest rated show of all time. it's a 59 though, is unbelievable. It's like twice what the NBA Finals were. So that's a great rating, and I watched it. It was great TV. Every once in a while, I'd flip it over and watch like The Office or something because it does stretch out. The games do go long, and I got to be honest. Chris Collinsworth wore on me last night because I'm watching the game and I'm into the game, and it just his effusive praise kind of got old, and then he would just turn on the guy. And I love Chris. He's one of my favorite people. I want to get him on this podcast, and I've got numbers for him, and the numbers work, but he's not returning the calls. I've tried to go through other people. I've had him on the radio before. I'm going to try to get him on this podcast. I'm going to do that. I'm going to make that happen. All right, so we have a lot going on. Obviously, the Big 12 decided to, and this was no big surprise that today they announced they have added 4 new members: UCF, BYU, Houston, and Cincinnati. Look, if you were going to add members, those were the only 4 you could take. And they went through this process, this vetting process. Remember, what was that, 2016, I think, when they were going to take teams in. They decided, nah, we don't think we want to take it. And what I wonder is if the networks told them, look, you bring these 4 teams in, all you're going to do is take a pie that gets smaller, that gets just gradually larger and divide it by 4 more people. You're going to make less money. I got a feeling that's what happened. They're not going to make the kind of money, obviously, that they made with Oklahoma and Texas in the league. But the weird thing but I do believe they did a good job. The weird thing is, what do we do now? Because they're saying that BYU, I think, goes in 13 or maybe 14. Does that mean Oklahoma and Texas are free to go or not? There's a lot of stuff still to go here. I know you guys get tired of listening to me talk about it, but it is fascinating. And now what happens with the American Athletic Conference, of which USF is a member, and of course Florida plays USF on Saturday. I'm sure there's a lot of people talking about what's happened down there because of this, and whether they're going to find, the Sun Belt came out and said, we're the best conference now. We're the best group of 5 conference. And then the AAC came out and said, we're going to be aggressive. Well, where can you be aggressive? Unless you can bring the Steelers in as one of your teams. You can't be aggressive. There's nobody left. There's nobody left that increases your TV market. Unless you made some crazy move and said, hey, North Carolina, how would you like to join our league? We'll give you 70% of the revenue. I still don't think North Carolina would go. So I don't know where they would go. What are they going to do? Take Vanderbilt? Okay, take them, please. Of course they're not. It's a weird deal there. Now, obviously, we have a game Saturday, tomorrow, if you're watching this or listening to it on Friday. Florida versus USF. This is a kind of weird deal in that they've only played one time. That game was in 2010. Florida won that game fairly easily. They weren't very good. They had kind of come off. And remember, USF was a pretty big deal there for an hour. They were number 2 in the country under Jim Leavitt, and then things just slowly deteriorated, and then they could never get it. Willie Taggart did have a 110 year there, and that's one reason he's respected as a coach and why people keep going after him, because of that year that they had. But it'll be an interesting game down there for a lot of reasons. But one is the Florida fans. From what I've been told, it's about a 70-30 Florida crowd, which you would expect. I mean, when you see that game on the schedule, and of course it got moved because USF wanted it moved for scheduling reasons. When you saw the game on the schedule and you lived in Tampa or the Tampa area, you went, oh man, we got to go to the game. We don't have to travel. We have to drive 2 hours. We don't have to get a hotel. We can just go to the Gator game. So, there are going to be a lot of Gator fans there. There's no question. But all we're going to do, all anybody's going to pay attention to are the quarterbacks. It's what we do. It's what we do in every league. All we did last night was talk about the quarterbacks. All you ever do is talk about the quarterbacks. And that's what, look, there's 11 guys out there. sometimes the blame's not on the quarterback. Sometimes the credit's not on the quarterback. Sometimes it's on the offensive coordinator for calling the perfect play, and he all he had to do was throw it 3 feet to get a touchdown. But it's what we're going to talk about Monday. It's what we're going to talk about on the tailgate for the next week, is how those guys looked. And it's going to be really interesting to see how Emory responds. And I don't know how much social media he pays attention to. Hopefully none, to be honest with you. If I was a coach, it would be hard for me to allow guys to go on social media. But now you have no choice because of NIL. You can't say you can't go on social media. Well, that's where I was going to make my NIL money. I guess I got to let you do that. But it really is hard to deal with for anybody. And for a guy like Emory Jones, who's been, I'm sure, has not had a great week, been criticized a lot, and everybody's ready for Anthony Richardson. And I keep telling people, I go, there's a reason Emory's starting. There's a reason why Anthony's backing him up. Let's just see how it goes. Let's at least watch week 2 of Emory Jones as a starting quarterback. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, it should be a fairly easy game for Florida, but, these are the kind of games where you kind of go, maybe not. You never know. This team got destroyed by NC State. It was 45-0. NC State could have scored as much as they wanted if they wanted to pile it up. But also you have, a team that's going to try to play a lot better. And everybody, if this coaching cliche, which I happen to believe, is that the biggest improvement you get is from week 1 to week 2, right? Well, then everybody should improve, right? So South Florida will be better. Well, Florida should be better than they were in week 1. South Florida should be better too. Maybe they do a better job against the run. They gave up a ton of yards, almost 300 yards to NC State. Of course, Florida got 400 yards in their game against Florida Atlantic, which is a better team than USF. So you would think Florida could do that. But again, it was skewed a little bit by those long runs by the quarterback. Or was it skewed? These are questions that I keep asking myself that keep me awake at night. Maybe it's not skewed. Maybe this is what you can expect from Florida's offense, is a lot of quarterback runs and a lot of long runs and numbers that you haven't seen. This isn't last year's team. We can't see that team again. We love it. It's a great team. Didn't have a great finish, but we love that team. Everybody loved watching Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts and Kadarius Toney and Trayvon Grimes. We loved watching those guys work, and where it was 3rd and 15, you go, they'll probably get it. 3rd and 15 right now, I am not holding a lot of but again, this is a different team. This is a team that's got a better defense. I know that for a fact. All right. So it is an important game. Look, we all know in theory, you could say this is a trap game between the opener and Alabama next week. It's a trap game. Well, I don't think it is a trap game. I don't totally believe in trap games. I know there's some that you can look at and go, yeah, it looks like a trap game, but you never know what the players are, what their mindset is. You just don't know. You got to wait and see how they handle it and whether they come out and go, hey, 1 of 12. That's all it is. 1 of 12 opportunities to put your helmet on. And Florida's doing a great thing with the, if you haven't seen the helmets, they're really cool with the USA, not the USA logo, but the red, white, and blue and the stars. They're beautiful. You wait till you see them. When they run on the field, I may tear up. It's going to be a beautiful thing. So it's an important game. Get it taken care of. Get out of it without injuries. But and people who say to me, when do you think they'll start putting the backups in? I don't care. Just go win this football game. That's all you have to do. Go win this football game. And then we'll see what happens next week. We'll see what you come out of it with. So at any rate, all right, that's going to do it for my opening monologue, which I know you guys were laughing at because, I'm Kimmel-esque. We will go to our interview in just a minute. And I really appreciate Lomas Brown for joining us. But we just wanted to mention that I spoke to the Gator Bowl Association group last night. What a great group that was. Greg McGarity, my good friend, and we're going to get him on the show as we get closer to the bowl situation, because it's still so nobody knows what's going to happen in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. I mean, you've got to be, again, I've said this a million times, you've either got to evolve or get run over, and you've got to be versatile. You've got to be able to handle everything. But it was great going up there and speaking to them in Jacksonville, and just want to give them a big thanks for having me up there. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, one of the greatest Gators to ever play the game, Lomas Brown, will join us. We'll be right back on another Dooley Noted podcast from the Shaq Allen Mercandante Studios.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Car accidents, trucking accidents, motorcycle accidents, and wrongful death. If injured or killed by the negligence of others, who will fight for the compensation you deserve? Shaq Allen Mercadante, 5 lawyers, more than 100 years of combined legal experience, millions in settlements and verdicts. Call Shaq Allen Mercadante, 371-3000. Rebuilding lives.
Another Duly Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444. This is Pat Dooley encouraging you to become a member of the Gainesville Quarterback Club, the oldest organization anywhere dedicated to Gator football. The club meets weekly during football season with an impressive list of speakers, including Bobby Stoops, Phil Fulmer, Steve Spurrier this year. Meetings are held at the Best Western Gateway Grand, and they have a special offer for you. The first 3 meetings you can attend for only $100. Believe me, this is a bargain, and trust me, you'll have a good time. Get off the bench, and it's time to score for the Gators by joining the Gainesville Quarterback Club. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from Another Dooley Noted Podcast. This is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer to go. What would give you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where, everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this, streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. to go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Spite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
All right, welcome back to another Duly Noted podcast, and it is a real honor. I've had some of the greatest Gators ever on here. This is certainly one of them, the great Lomas Brown, who is, for my money, the best offensive lineman to ever play at the University of Florida, best left tackle, should be on the Ring of Honor, should be in the Hall of Fame, the NFL Hall of Fame. If I voted on any of those things, he'd be in. How you doing, Lomas?
I'm doing great, Pat. The big fella really appreciate the love you sending out to him.
Well, I mean, you say big fella, but what do you weigh now? You look like just a wisp of your former self.
Yeah, I'm down to about 245 right now. You know, I had to I tell everybody I don't have to walk around at 300 pounds. I don't block anybody anymore. So I figured I'll get the weight off me and feel better. But I feel great. The joints feel good. So I feel good right now.
I was going to ask you, you made 263 starts, I think it was. I have made no NFL starts, and why do I hurt and you don't? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Hey, look, I wake up with mystery pains every morning, man. So this is just the outside you seeing. But, man, it takes me about 5 minutes to sit on the side of the bed, collect my thoughts, get the body parts together. Then I start moving around.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I know the last year you played 18 years, and the last year you were still thinking about playing one more year and seeing what happened, and you would have probably been with the Steelers, right? And could have won another ring.
Absolutely, you're right about that. And you know, I just think the thing for me, Pat, at that point was not going into this another season, but the desire to get ready to take on another season, both physically and mentally. I think that's when you know kind of your time is up, when you really don't have that motivation to go out there and compete, to get yourself better, to get ready to take that punishment that you're going to take during the season. And I think Father Time, he was tapping me on the shoulder. He was like, look, it's time to pick another profession. So, you know, I just gave it up after 18 years. But you're right. And the only reason why I thought about it was because the great Jackie Slater, he challenged me to play 20 years in the league, to match what he did in the league. So I just fell 2 years short of getting to that 20-year mark.
Yeah, but that's going to be a pretty good pension. I will say that. Yeah. I know those things work. 18 years, you're getting a pretty good pension. Hey, let's go back to when you came out of Miami and decided to go to Florida. I mean, this was Miami kind of, you know, I'm not saying it was their peak, but they were obviously a program where they had drawn the line in the sand. Nobody was to go north of Orlando. What made you want to come to Florida?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. If people remember, that's when that documentary or that 30 for 30 came out about the U. And Coach Snellenberger instructed his coaches to hit the inner city, start recruiting these athletes in the inner city. So it was right around that time when I was being recruited. And you're right, it was a tough choice. I just like to let people in, Gator Nation in on a little secret. If they ever looked at my scholarship, it was really only one signature on there. My mom was the only one that signed my scholarship. My dad refused to sign it. Yeah, he wanted me to be a Hurricane so bad. Coach Howard Snellenberger had him hook, line, and sinker. And he was that upset at me because going to Florida that he didn't sign my scholarship. But it was the best thing for me. I think getting out of Miami, getting the chance to go up north 5 hours up the road to Gainesville, kind of getting out of that atmosphere that I was in down in Miami, I think it did me well. You know, Miami, it's high energy there in Miami, and I think going to Gainesville, a city that was that was just dedicated to the University of Florida, a football community, I think it did me a lot of good. And I think I made the best choice going up to Gainesville, Florida.
So when you were playing, I mean, obviously there were so many memorable games for those 4 years. And I mean, I think you started almost every game at left tackle. But it must have been fun to be playing for a coach who basically said, we're going to run the ball, and that's it. We're going to run it, and then every once in a while we'll throw it. So you guys were run blocking, 80% of the time?
Absolutely. I mean, and you know, Coach Pale, man, He was a tough guy, man. I mean, our practices were no joke, man. I mean, the games
he used to have
were
4
easy.
days and stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely. The games were a break, man. The games were easy compared to the practices we went through with Coach Pell. But you're right. He wanted us to be a physical team. He always preached being physical, and he always preached everything started up front with the offense and the defensive line. So you're right. For us to go into the game and run the ball a lot more than we passed the ball, it was nothing unusual for us. We wanted to get out there. We wanted to get physical. We wanted to kind of, show our dominance early in the game, especially to opposing teams. And you know, Pat, especially playing in the SEC, man. Look, I've had many arguments in my pro locker rooms that I've been in that the SEC is the best conference, hands down. There's no conference. If you want to get pro ready, go to a SEC school and play an SEC schedule, because that's definitely, it's not the pro level, but it's not too far off pro levels with the type of competition that you get and that you're going to receive each and every Saturday.
Now, you blocked for James Jones, Neil Anderson, John L. Williams, Low Hampton. Who was the easiest one to block for out of all those draft picks?
Oh, my goodness. I probably would say Neil. I probably would say Neil Anderson was, man. Charlie Neal, man. That was my guy, man. Because, man, he would put his foot in the ground and he was gone, man. You know, it wasn't a lot of wiggle that Charlie gave you, but he had power and he had speed. And it, you know, I guess it was foreshadowing me being able to block for great running backs, of course, being able to block for Barry Sanders. But it gave me a lot of practice blocking for those guys you mentioned, and all those guys first-round picks. I mean, so who could say? I had 4 first-round picks behind me while I was at the University of Florida. So I had a great stable of running backs. James Jones, great friend of mine. I ended up coming to Detroit and playing a couple of years with James. And John L. went on to have a great career in Seattle and Pittsburgh. You look at Low Hamp down there in Miami, he did his thing. So, you know, and of course, Charlie Neal with the Chicago Bears. Right. So, you know, I was fortunate to have those guys behind me. And that's what makes an offensive line. That's what helps the offensive line when you got talent like that behind you in the backfield.
You know, Neil Anderson said when he, at his first press conference, I'm going to play 8 years and get out. And that's exactly what he did. Did he ever give you a hard time about playing 18 years? Is he saying, no, what are you doing?
Well, he wanted me, I think he wanted me to come work on the peanut farm with him a little bit. So I think that's the reason why he wanted me to shorten my career. But I was having too much fun, Pat, in the NFL, man. So, you know, I had to prolong that peanut career that Charlie Anderson went off and got into.
Well, what was that like in '94? I've heard this story from Kerwin and Neil and some other guys. When you guys beat Kentucky and win the SEC, and you're flying back and the plane dips over the stadium and the stadium's got all those people in it and they're going nuts and you guys come back to a hero's welcome. What was that like? And then to find out later that they weren't going to count it even though you guys still haven't given the trophy back.
Yeah, that was a surreal moment. It really was. Like they said, man, it was fun. The pilot came in and banked to the left so everybody on that side of the plane could see the stadium. Then he banked to the right so everybody on the other side of the plane could see. It was amazing, man, how many people were down at the stadium waiting on us. And Charlie, I'm sorry, Pat, you know, that was a tough game. That was a real tough game. Yeah. Kentucky, yeah, they were always them and Vanderbilt. I just don't know why, but in my 4 years there, they gave us some tough games. And then, like you say, that game against Kentucky to win the SEC title was a very, very hard-fought game. And, you know, it was almost like a gut punch to find out that they weren't going to let us keep the title, something that we had earned on the field, something that they brought up that a lot of us didn't have anything to do with about the past transgressions that went on. You know, a lot of us were innocent. A lot of the guys on the team were innocent. Like I say, a lot of that stuff went on before we were involved with the team. So it was a gut punch, you know, but we stood our ground. And I think to a man, each and every one of us said we weren't giving back our rings. We weren't giving up the title. And still today, when we talk to guys, I talked to Pat Miller, Ricky Williams, a lot of those guys, a lot of those guys I talked to, we still say we're the first team in Florida history to win the SEC title.
So you have your ring still?
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They were
if I come to your house,
is
it displayed really nicely, or?
Well, I have it hidden. I got a little jewelry box for it, so I got it in the jewelry box. But I'll tell anybody, they'll have to cut that finger off to get that ring from me. So it's not going anywhere.
I don't think Greg Sankey's going to do that. I don't think he's going to go that far. But, okay, so you get drafted, and I know that I was reading up a little bit on you, and you get drafted by Detroit, and you were like, nobody from Detroit talked to me. What? And that had to be kind of weird, and then to have the, you know, I wouldn't say it's culture shock to go to Detroit because you've lived in Miami, so it's another big city, and but it was kind of a weird place for you to go.
Oh, it was, and believe me, the only three things I knew about Detroit back then was, one, it was cold. Two, they made cars, and back in '85, it was the murder capital. So I'm like, what in the world am I getting myself into? And you're right, Pat. I had heard from nobody from Detroit. The first time I heard from the Detroit Lions was 2 picks from them picking me. And they were saying that if they didn't get Chris Dolman and if we didn't get Dwayne Bickett, that they were going to draft me. And everything fell into place where those guys went before me. And I was sitting there at number 6, and Coach Darryl Rogers called and said, you know, we're picking you. And it was an awkward moment of silence because I'm sitting on the phone and I'm just confused. And he had to ask me, he said, aren't you happy about us drafting you? And I had to kind of snap into it and say, oh, yeah, I am, Coach. But I was stung. Like I said, that I had no inclinations. I thought it was either going to be Cleveland, Philadelphia talked to me, and there was a couple of other teams that had talked to me, but never the Detroit Lions until draft day, and then they ended up picking me two picks later.
Yeah, you were the 6th pick, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, 6th pick in the draft. And then to play that long, I mean, and then to get, you know, I would say that in some ways for you, Lomas, not playing on better teams probably bothers you, but blocking for Barry Sanders kind of makes up for it in a lot of ways.
Absolutely. Hands down. It really did. And I'm going to tell you, the valuable lesson that I learned from blocking from Barry was you have to stay on your blocks. You like the old cliche, go to the whistle blows. Well, with Barry Sanders, that was the absolute truth. You had to go to the whistle was blown because you didn't know where he was going to be at. The play could be designed to go all the way to the right, and I'm on the left, and then you would turn around and Barry would be behind you. So if you never wanted to be that guy on Monday mornings when you were watching films. You didn't want to be that guy that gave up the tackle, that got Barry tackled or whatever. So I learned at an early age when he got there, stay on your blocks until the whistle is blown. Once you hear the whistle, then you can let up. But other than that guy, he was just incredible, man. It was just such an incredible experience blocking for him. I enjoyed the 7 years that I got to block for him out of his 10 years that he played. It was an absolute pleasure. And I think he's the one, I tell everybody, he's the one that kind of got us on the map. So I feel that he's, right. He's partly responsible for the success, a lot responsible for the success that I had in my career playing at Detroit.
So you play 18 years. You play for several different teams, obviously 11 in Detroit, 263 starts, 251 games, 7 Pro Bowls. You're on the ballot again this year. Why do you think you're
Yeah.
not getting in? Is it a Detroit thing, do you think?
Well, yeah, I think it's partly a Detroit thing because, we didn't have a lot of success in the playoffs, even though we had a lot of regular season success. Once we got in the playoffs, and that's where you make your money at, we didn't have a lot of success in the playoffs once we got there. And I think that kind of hurt me. And then I also think being an offensive lineman, I think, until I always say we're overworked and underappreciated. And you see now a guy like Patrick Mahomes, what he had to go through in this last Super Bowl running for his life because he didn't have his offensive line. So it's so much more of an importance put on the big guys up front. And look, I look at it this way. I said, as great of an offensive line as Emmitt Smith had in front of him, he only has one guy in the Hall of Fame, and that was a great offensive line. You go back to the Pittsburgh Steelers, you look at the Hogs, they don't have a lot of representatives in the Hall of Fame for these great offensive lines that we had in the past. So I just think, it's just, until you really need us, you don't really think about us. And I think that's probably part of the reason why I hadn't gotten in there. But, hey, I'm always hopeful that one day I'll get that call.
Well, if that knock comes on the door, you may start crying. I think you might Well, last thing for you, and I'm a big proponent of this, and Scott Strickland said something interesting the other day that he thinks, and I talked to him again about this, that he does believe that the Ring of Honor criteria needs to be at least reviewed. They're not saying they're going to change it. They're not saying that what they're going to do. But I have a proposal for them. And look, that's the thing that's crazy. If you get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, then you can get in the Ring of Honor, which is crazy. I mean, I don't know if he's that good. Oh, he's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Well, let's put him in our Ring of Honor. That drives me crazy. But I would do this. I know they don't want to clutter it up. They don't want to have 40 guys up there. But I would say, look, if you go 5 years without having anybody who qualifies, which is going to happen, then you can go ahead and select somebody. I'll be part of the committee. I'll be happy to volunteer to do that. I think I know Gator football more than anybody. And let's do that. And let's get the first name on my ballot is Lomas Brown.
Well, I appreciate that. And we got some strict standards there at the University of Florida. I was telling some of my other ex-teammates about that. I was like, yeah, man, to get up in the Ring of Honor at Florida, man, you got to get in the Hall of Fame, man. So or
Hall of Fame or the Heisman. Yeah, one or the
other. Yes. So it's tough getting up there, but we got a lot of great players, man, that's been there throughout the history of Gator football, and it would definitely be an honor to go up there. And I'm hoping that one day I will be able to go up there so I can, because Pat, I got grandkids now, and I got an 18-year-old granddaughter, so I might soon have some great grands. So I would love one day to take them down to the swamp and let them see Granddaddy's name up there in lights.
Well, yeah, that'd be great, and you can take them and show them the paver that has your name on it too, and then they put your picture up there when you make the College Football Hall of Fame, which was last year, right?
Yes. So it's been a lot of great honors coming down. And Pat, I'm looking forward to that this year. Because of COVID, we didn't get an opportunity to celebrate it or go in and get inducted last year. So I'm definitely looking forward to going there this year and enjoying those festivities too.
Now, by the way, Lomas, are you still doing the radio, the color analyst on the radio for the Lions?
Yes,
and you're doing
am.
some NFL Network work too still?
Yeah,
ESPN?
We're really just right now, just really doing the radio for the Lions. I'm the color commentator. The Lions have their first game coming up against San Francisco, a tough game at home. So I've been studying film and getting ready, trying to get ready so I could give, like I like to say, I like to give the people what they want, Pat. I want to give them what they want. So just studying up, getting ready for my big challenge on Sunday also.
That'll be a heck of a game. Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching that new quarterback and everything.
Yes.
That'll be fun to watch. Hey, Lomas, it's an honor and I appreciate you coming on the show because I've been trying to get you for a while, and then I got your number from Pizza Bill. You know, he's got everybody's number, so
he does too. You're right.
And he's trying to get the 84 and 85 team some recognition at a game because you know what happened when they put it up there and then they took it down and all that. I think it's time to kind of forget it. If you're going to forget about Urban Meyer's transgressions, then forget about anything that happened with that team. Just celebrate the victories and all the wins.
Absolutely.
9-1-1 2 years in a row.
I know, man, and a tough SEC schedule, beating Georgia that year, and then backing it up with Auburn that year. That was a tough schedule, and I also like to just commend my guys that played with me up front: Phil Bromley, Billy Henson, Crawford Kerr, Jeff Zimmerman, the Great Wall of Florida. Man, I miss those guys. Yes, sir. We had a great time.
I was trying to remember who came up with that nickname. I'm not sure who came up with it. It might have been Norm Carlson.
Yeah, I think it was Norm. I have an article where Norm did come up there. Yeah, he was great too, man. But Norm came up there. And of course, Pat, I was the last brick to go into that wall of Florida because the criteria was you had to bench press 400 pounds and you had the squat or leg press 700 pounds. And of course, all the rest of the guys did it, and they were waiting on me to complete the wall. And I put up 410 that one day, and the locker room went crazy. And the Great Wall was completed at that point.
That's a great story. That's a great way to end it. I can't thank you enough, Lomas, and good luck with everything going forward. And we're going to do everything we can to see if you're going to get more recognition because you deserve it. But you've had a great life, and I want your grandkids to see you go into that Ring of Honor one day. And your great-grandchildren, maybe.
That's right. That's right. Hey, I really appreciate this, Pat. I really do.
All right, we'll see you, buddy. Lomas Brown, one of the great Gators of all time. And I think when we did our top 100 Gators of all time, which we did back in 2006, and we talked about how we would change and add some guys in there, but Lomas Brown, I think, was number 8 at the time, which is saying a lot at this place with the stars that have been around here. So, I don't know that he would drop. He may even go up. I may even put him up. That's the other thing about this whole deal with guys like that. I just want players to be remembered more so than just celebrate what's going on now. And celebrating what's going on now is so important. But people kind of will let the memories start to drift away. And how good was Lomas Brown? I guarantee you 90% of the people going to those games have never seen him play. Probably. Maybe 80%. We'll see. All right, we'll be back. We got much more to talk about, obviously. We have our Leonardo's Quick Picks. We have our handle off 3 things. We have that coming up, as well as our schedule, which we always talk about the best games of the weekend, and Adams Ribco Gator of the Week. All that coming up and more here on Another Dooley Noted Podcast.
Car accidents, trucking accidents, motorcycle accidents, and wrongful death. If injured or killed by the negligence of others, who will fight for the compensation you deserve? Shakow and Mercadante, 5 lawyers, more than 100 years of combined legal experience, millions in settlements and verdicts. Call Shakow and Mercadante, 371-3000. Rebuilding lives.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Another Dooley Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Tebow Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from Another Dooley Noted Podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What would give you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it. This is Pat Dooley encouraging you to become a member of the Gainesville Quarterback Club, the oldest organization anywhere dedicated to Gator football. The club meets weekly during football season with an impressive list of speakers, including Bobby Stoops, Phil Fulmer, Steve Spurrier this year. Meetings are held at the Best Western Gateway Grand, and they have a special offer for you. The first 3 meetings you can attend for only $100. Believe me, this is a bargain, and trust me, you'll have a good time. Get off the bench, and it's time to score for the Gators by joining the Gainesville Quarterback Club. Okay, welcome back to Another Dooley Noted Podcast, live from the Shack-Out Mercandone Studios. We appreciate our great sponsors all over the place. Speaking of the Quarterback Club, I just saw the ad for that. Greg McElroy will be the speaker on Tuesday, so that'll be a lot of fun. Scott Strickland was last week. Every week it's great speakers, and you should join. You should be a part of it. It's great, and I love. And I speak. So I give them about 10 to 15 minutes of. I'm running out of Spurrier stories, so I need some more. Maybe I need to go hang out with him for a while and get some, because he's got them. Believe me, he's got them all. All right, we've got to get to all of our great things from our great sponsors that we love to do. We'll start out today with the Handlaw 3 Things. Handlaw is presented by 3 Things is presented by Handlaw, a Florida law firm which helps clients with government. You can learn more about Handlaw by visiting its website at www.hand.law. The firm is available for consultation in Jacksonville. All right, 3 things. Let's start off with number 1. Not a good week for Clemson. I'm not saying anything bad happened to them this week, but not only did they lose that game to Georgia, but they've kind of had to hear from everybody, Clemson's done, the ACC's done, you've let the ACC down, you're done, you're playing for the whatever bowl, Citrus Bowl or whatever. Actually, I think it might be the Outback Bowl. Anyway, you're done, or you may get into a New Year's Six Bowl, but who cares? You're in the playoffs every year. And that's not true, although it's going to be hard for Clemson. Clemson doesn't play anybody the rest of the year. They don't have North Carolina on their schedule. They don't have Miami on their schedule. They'll play somebody in the championship game. But think about this. If they go 11-1, and then they play in the ACC championship game, and they go 12-1, it's going to be hard to keep them out, even though they haven't beaten anybody. So I don't think it's been that as bad a week as everybody's made it out to be for Clemson. It's not over for them yet. Trust me on that. And remember that year that Ohio State got beat by Virginia Tech? And we're like, well, the Big Ten's done. And Ohio State won the national championship. All right, number 2. I just noticed this in the rankings, or in the standings for Major League Baseball clubs. Checking on the Braves, seeing how it going. I watched some of the game last night, but it was kind of going in and out on Major League Network, and the Braves ended up winning in extra innings. Jock Peterson with the big hit. But while I was on there, I was kind of looking, and I was like, holy cow, this could be unbelievable. The Yankees and the Red Sox right now would play in the wild card, the one-game wild card game, which we've seen before, and broke my heart. I told Bucky Dent that it broke my heart, and he said, good. That didn't make me feel any better. Although I like Bucky Dent now. After his son played at Florida, and he was at the College World Series. But my point is, right now, and everybody else go away. There's 5 teams that have a chance to get into the wild card game. 5 teams. The other 3 need to go away. We need Yankees, Red Sox, one game to advance. Even though the one game, then you go play the best team in the American League. But still, it would be so cool to relive that. And the only trouble is, it'll be like my baseball version of Lindsey Scott. I was devastated when Bucky Dent hit that homer to beat my Red Sox. Red Sox are my American League team. So maybe I shouldn't be rooting for that. Maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. I'll just keep negative rooting against the Yankees. Finally, number 3 on 3 things. Obviously, Florida wearing really cool helmets for the 9/11 tributes that are going to go around all around this country on Saturday, tomorrow. It's a day that changed our lives in so many ways, and certainly changed people involved in it. But I'll never forget, we were on the radio over at 105 The Game doing a show when it happened, and the first reaction was, we don't know exactly what happened. And then the second one hit, and then they went, you're going off the air. We're going to news. We're not going to talk sports. But the thing that's weirdest to me about it, when I think about it, is that was a Tuesday. And that later that day, we went to a press conference for the Florida-Tennessee game. And we asked football questions. I don't remember if I asked any football questions. I hope I didn't. I think I asked only about what was going on, how confident they were the game was going to be played. I remember Rex Grossman being irate at what had happened. He was. Let me tell you what. Everybody always says if Florida had played Tennessee on the day it was scheduled, they'd have killed him. You know, Dante Stallworth was out of that game, and they would have killed him. And it was only because of 9/11 that's the reason. I'm telling you what, Rex Grossman plays that game that Saturday. He might have been just out of it. And I saw him have those games where he got out of it because he was so angry. I'll never forget that moment. And Spurrier was like, everybody was in disbelief. And the weird thing was, they were still going to play the game. And then the next day, I remember that day watching it all on TV take place, and just things were happening, and I'm like, I just was so stunned. I couldn't wrap my arms around it. And it wasn't until the next day, I think, that I did. And then we went, the following Saturday, following Friday, went to Lexington for Florida's game against Kentucky, Robbie and I remember we're getting on a plane. And it's 6 a.m, you get that 6 a.m. flight out of Gainesville. And I just, there was a freeze in my step. Do I really want to do this? Do I want to get on this plane? And it turned out there were a couple of Florida offensive linemen who were flying home because they weren't playing the game, so they flew home for the weekend, and they were getting on. I went, we're going to be okay. These guys are going to protect us. I mean, that's how weird it was. And going to the game was so it just was mind-boggling to think about it. Why do we even care what happens in this football game? But certainly, I think everybody is going to take time and remember it both dramatically, on the field and stuff like that. That's not the right word. No, that's not the right word. Anyway, they're going to do a bunch of things they're going to remember. But I think all of us are going to remember where we were, what happened that day, which was a really sad day. That was a day when I thought America would come together. And they did, but not for long. And they came back apart. I've said this many times. America is like an Auburn, Alabama. It's like one side's Alabama, one side's Auburn. The other side can never do anything right. These guys are cheating. These guys are cheating. That's what we are in America. But remember, maybe when we remember 9/11 and what happened that day, we'll all say, let's go back to how we felt that day and how we were united against one opponent instead of against each other. And that's enough preaching for today. Let's go to the Adams Ribco Gator of the Week. And the Gator of the Week, there are a lot of them. I can't list them all. I'd like to. 49 players on NFL rosters from Florida. And that's not the most. And again, 32 of them are active for this weekend. So it means you got a lot of guys on practice squads and a lot of guys are injured reserve, or not a lot of guys, but there's some guys on injured reserve or PUP lists or whatever. And Florida is down the list, as we know. Amazingly, Alabama has 53 active players on their roster, or on NFL rosters, 53. Florida's got 32, but it's still good, you know, and I'm happy for so many of them, especially when you think about this. Florida, what happened last year? Florida's secondary was terrible, terrible. Gave up a historic number of points and yards and everything. 2 guys from that secondary are on NFL teams. Marco Wilson and Sean Davis. They both made it. Sometimes you just go, maybe they weren't being coached right. Maybe that's why Florida has new secondary coaches too. But congratulations to all those guys. They're getting a check. The SEC has 332 players now on the NFL roster, which is ridiculous. This is why. Why do you think everybody wants to be in this league? That's as much of the reason as anything. All right, so thanks again to Adams Ribco. I'm leaning that way for dinner tonight. May head over there to go to the to-go place, and appreciate them being a part of this. All right, Leonardo's a Millhopper quick picks. A lot of you guys qualified because you picked the Bucks, but boy, you were nervous late in that game. I'm going to get. I am in a fantasy league this year. Jeff made me get in it. I'm never going to talk about it on the show. I promise you. I will never talk about my players or players that did well against me. That's a promise. I will talk about it on the radio, though. All right, the quick picks for today. We got 2 of them for you. Number 1, which quarterback for Florida has the most rushing yards? Emory Jones, Anthony Richardson. So we know last week it was Anthony Richardson. This week it may be different. We don't know. That's number 1 question. Number 2, we'll go to the NFL. The Jaguars are giving 3 up to Houston, at Houston. Houston's tanking it. They're trying to lose so they can get a good quarterback in there because obviously Deshaun Watson is done with them. So we'll see how that all goes. So that's our Leonardo's and Millhopper quick picks. Which quarterback has the most rushing yards for Florida? And then the Jaguars at Houston -3. You got to give up 3 points, which I don't know. I got a feeling. I don't know. I don't know about that game. I wouldn't bet on it. Let's put it that way. But you have to bet on it. All right. And finally, for today, the Hesser and Kipke games of the week. Hesser and Kipke is a Gainesville law firm which specializes in family law and workers' comp. We appreciate them for being a sponsor. High school-wise, look, I'm going to go with the game that's not probably going to be that good, but I looked at some games. A couple of games have been postponed because of COVID situations. Hawthorne's game, PK Young's game, and they would have been better games. But I'm just going to go with the old reliable East Side of Buell's. I mean, not at Buell's. I mean, they're playing at Citizens, but East Side Buell's. I know East Side's not very good this year, 0-2. But hey, people get excited. It's a rivalry game, right? So that's our high school game of the week. Our SEC game of the week is Missouri-Kentucky. I've been talking about this for a while. I think this is a huge game. It's a loser-leave-town game. I'm excited about it. I'm going to watch that game. I'm looking forward to it. We're having a garage sale, believe it or not, in the morning. And then I'm just going to go, well, now that I'm done with being a good husband, I'm just going to watch football all day. And I will. I know there are not that many great games, but there are a lot of them. There's enough of them. And our national game of the week is where game day is, Iowa, Iowa State. Iowa State is a 4.5-point favorite. Iowa State, of course, needs a win here, huge for their brand. It's a huge game in this state. There are good games in college football this weekend. I know a lot of you looked at the schedule and it doesn't blow you away, because I think partly because you thought Washington, Michigan would be great, and Washington poops the bed, and you thought Oregon, Ohio State, you were fired about that, and then Oregon didn't look great, but that'll still be a great game. There are plenty of great games this week, and we'll continue to do that. Well, our lock of the week, and again, we're looking for a sponsor on this. Kansas is a lock of the week. They're 26.5-point underdogs to Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina is really good, but I'm telling you, Kansas will cover the 26.5, and they will do it. When we get a sponsor on this lock of the week, we are going to give you the spreads for all the games, or all the big games as well, and I'll talk about what I think about them. So we're looking for that sponsor. That's the last one we're looking for, and then we'll be ready to go. We may have something going on that. All right. I'm done. I hope you guys, if you didn't enjoy the Lomas Brown interview, you don't need to watch the show anymore. You just need to go, I'm done with it. I'm done with Dooley Noted. I'm done with Dooley, and I'm done with Lomas Brown. But I hope you enjoyed that. I had so much fun interviewing him. I could have gone another half hour with him. We will be back on Monday. Ross Dellinger from Sports Illustrated is going to join us. We're working on a big guest for Friday for the Florida-Alabama game, but it's kind of hard because guys are coming into town a lot, so on Friday, but we'll get you a great guest, I promise you. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's show. I did. Thanks so much to Evan, who does the yeoman's work here. And until next time, from the Shackhow and Mercandani Studios at Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, I'm Pat Dooley saying I'm deep, I'm way back, and I am out of here.